This conference will now be recorded.
We are just 3%.
Hey, can you all see my screen?
Yes, yes.
Okay, that's great. One second, let me open Visual Studio. Anyways, last two sessions here, which is why I think people are. But actually, we are going to discuss extensions tomorrow, which is very interesting concept. Anyways, there are table extensions, so everything will be similar. Might be that is the reason they are not joining.
Some standard flow, Kumar. Hello.
That's what in the customizations we will see that. Don't worry.
Okay, okay. That will cover in one day.
Yeah, that's what I asked in the beginning. Okay, which is why what I say is all the time what people will say is we want to go with the implementation. Okay, because tomorrow morning we'll be upgrading, so we would like to know how to implement the new things and everything. Because most of the times the people who join the sessions, they don't know even AX 2009 as well. They don't know Dynamics
I
6.
don't know.
So
I don't know, in fact.
at least you know Navision, I think.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
what will happen is if I directly go into the customizations and if I explain everything, that would be a bit difficult thing. Because during the initial time, we used to plan sessions using this one only. Okay, we planned the
Uh,
sessions for Uno AX 2012. At that time, we used to get the
yeah,
people.
their requirement would be different. Kumar started recording.
Yeah, yeah, I started recording. That's why what used to happen is while going with the customizations, I used to say in the tables how to customize and all those things. Okay. And okay. So see here. Actually, in the previous sessions, now when we were taking AX 2012, and I think only for one session when we are taking Dynamics 365, we took that flow as well. Okay, we used to explain the functional things and we used to explain the standard sales order flow, standard purchase order flow, and everything. But you know what happened? The people got irritated, yeah, which is why we removed those concepts, the functional things, because we used to spend more time, frankly speaking. Okay, actually Dynamics 365 or AX 2012 when we started, na, me and my brother. So at that time we used to take 3 months to 4 months for one batch. You can understand. If we used to take for 3 months to 4 months only for one single batch. So, but unfortunately, frankly speaking, most of the guys, they used to ask, "Oh, it can't be finished in 15 days. It can't be finished in 1 month." I don't understand in 15 days or 1 month what they want to learn. Because even if you see here, when I am taking online for 45 days as well, you need to go back and check videos multiple times if you need to practice. Okay, if you need to practice, I can guarantee that you need to go back and check the videos multiple times. Then only you would be able to do that. Okay. But this difficulty, most the students will never understand that. Okay. So what they want is it should be finished within 1 month, and after 1 month they will plan to go to the company and get the job. But ERP is not like that. ERP is not like that. In the initial days, when we have started the sessions, at that time in each and every batch, we used to again get at least 5 to 8 students. Okay, we used to have around 15 or 20 students. From that 5 to 8 students, we used to select and we used to send their profiles, and they used to get jobs easily. It was very easy to get jobs in Dynamics AX. But frankly speaking, going as we are moving on now, as it was 3 months and it used to take 3 to 3.5 months, and what happened is people again what they have done in initial days it was okay, later on it went wrong. Okay, most of the times people used to ask only 1 month. Now as well I have some guys, you know their ask is only one thing. They are asking me to take the weekend sessions. Okay, weekend, Saturday 8 hours, Sunday 8 hours, or Saturday 4 hours, Sunday 4 hours. This is what they are asking, and they want to finish it within 4 weeks. And they don't know Dynamics AX. Okay, they don't know Dynamics AX. I told them only one thing: it's not possible, because if you come and learn regularly daily, even if you are taking the 45 days, you need to practice a lot. Without practice, you can't learn. And they don't know at least Dynamics AX 2009 or 2012 as well. It's not about money. If we go for money, obviously I used to tell them, okay, I will take I will take the sessions weekly 4 hours, it will be done. But that is not going to happen here. Okay, because frankly speaking, nowhere you will find this course again. In Dynamics 365, you will find only some 2 or 363 institutes, and you will not find this course anywhere. Okay, because this module was decided in such a way that, and when we started this initially, we started it for a reason, because at that time there were no one who know Dynamics 365. We started Dynamics 365 for the first time, and it was nearly more than 3 years, I think. And I used to teach different sort of projects, but functionally I can explain, but most of the time I found everyone is feeling bored, so I stopped with that thing and I came back to completely technical itself. Okay, we will see that. I will show you that one. Okay, because functionally, frankly speaking, I will explain very less thing. Only technical, I will explain you each and everything, because functionally there is no need of learning for a technical guy. Technical guy should only think in a perspective where to customize and how to customize. Because if you're going into the development, you will get the functional guy along with you. He will sit with you and he will show you, you need to customize this and this is how you need to do. Okay, if you have experience, I mean to say, let's say you started working on Dynamics AX, and if you gain the experience of 4 or 5 years, you will become techno functional consultant automatically. Okay, that's why I always let everyone know that don't learn functional immediately, because most of the times I saw your students who will start the technical training, and after 15 or 20 days they will go to the functional training. That is not going to work, because no one is going to ask the technical person to solve the functional issues. No one is going to ask you to do the legal entity configuration. No one is going to ask you to do the finance configuration. Okay, only for finance management, only for finance management you will have a separate team. I'm saying separate team, not one person, because the financial configuration is different, the supply chain configuration is different, trade and logistics configuration is different, the everything is different. Okay, so if you want to learn functionally, you can learn it, but it is not needed if you want to work technically. Okay, yeah, but I will show you what are the basics and how you need to debug. Already I have showed you how to work with the standard stuff when we are working with the tables by creating the extensions. I will show you how to work with them. You need to simply personalize, and you need to go to the screen and you need to customize. That's what we do. Okay, yeah. Now see here, uh, today we will be discussing on the workflows. Okay, so see here, already we have created a table called employee expense. Okay, we have created a table called AMA employee expense. So we will see how to work with the employee expense workflow. So employee will submit the expense, and again it will go to the lead, he can approve or reject. It will go to the manager, he can approve or reject. So like that, there will be multiple places here. So we will see how to work with this. Oh, I thought I wrote methods. They are not there. Okay, so now we have expense type, expense status, HCM worker, and generic amount. Okay, we have created 4 fields in it. Now the next step would be, we need to write few methods here. Okay, from that I already told you about one method which is called can submit to workflow. If you return true from this method, then only you would be able to use this workflow. Otherwise, you would not be able to use this. If you want to use this, you need to return true from this. Okay, so now in this method, what we will do is, I will get the current record if this current record, what is it? expense. What is the name here? I don't remember that. Okay, expense status. Okay, it's not giving intelligence. Expense status equal to AMA. Expense status is not submit. If it is not submitted, then only allow user to submit. Otherwise, by default it will return false. Okay, so this is why I'm using it. So what I'm saying, if expense status is not submit, then only allow employee to submit this. Otherwise, don't allow him to submit. And similarly, I am writing one more method, public static void. This method I want to use for updating the workflow. For updating the workflow. Ref rec id underscore rec id, comma, AMA expense status, expense status. Now in this method, simply I will say AMA employee expense, okay, select for update employee expense, where employee expense dot rec id equal to underscore record id. If record is found employee expense, then TTS begin, TTS commit, and then here you can write employee expense dot expense status equal to underscore expense status employee expense dot update. Okay, this method is a generic method which we are going to use while updating the things. Okay, now to begin with, these are the two methods which we need to concentrate on the table, and the next step is we need to create a query for our workflow. Okay, because in the workflow wizard we need to use this query. Okay, you can select the query and you can call it as AMA employee expense query. Click on the add button. It will create a new query for us, and select tables, drag and drop AMA employee expense table to it. Okay, go to properties and then set it to yes. Done. So this is the step. It's very simple. You need to create a query out of this one. And now I want to create a screen for this one. Okay, because front end the user should submit na. So I want to create a user interface, a form. I will call this form as AMA employee expense. Click on the add button. It will create a new form for us. And here I will select the pattern as simple list. Yeah, that should be enough. Okay, I want to simply show the records. Just a second, it's loading. Apply pattern, simple list. Okay, and you can define the action pane. And the second thing is a group control. Apply pattern, custom and quick filter. Apply a quick filter here. And then we need to apply the grid, new, and then a grid control. Now you can go to table, again back, AMA employee expense, drag and drop it to the data source, and select all the fields from this one. Expense status, type, generic amount, HCM worker. Done. Drag and drop it to the grid. Okay. Now go to the properties of the grid. And okay, let me first of all update this. HCM worker name label. Let me set it as worker. Generic amount. I will call this as transaction amount. Expense type. Expense status. Okay, done. Now see here, for the grid control, I will set the data source here to AMA employee expense. Save. Okay, AMA employee expense. Now, along with this, if I go to the design, here you can see there's a property called workflow data source. Set it to this one. Workflow enabled. Set it to yes. You need to update the workflow type as well. Please remember. Currently, we have not created workflow type, so I have not updated any. Once we are done with creating the workflow type, we need to update the workflow type as well. Okay. Now in the second step, we are done with creating the screen. This is my user interface, and if you open this, we can see the data of the employees. Okay, and we will create the data. And the next step, we have created a UI, means we need a menu item here. Click on the new item and select display menu item. Let me call this as AMA employee expense. Click on the add button. Go to the properties. Call it as employee expense and set the object property to AMA employee expense. Save. Rebuild the solution. Okay. Okay, let it build. In the meantime, we will create a few more things. Okay, anyways, we have the menu. Let me drag and drop the menu item first. Let me open this, and then we have the menu item employee expense. This one, drag and drop it to common and save. Okay, so see here, I have not synchronized it, the database yet. We will synchronize it within a minute. Before that, we will create few more things. See here, whenever you are working with the workflow, it goes in a sequence. Okay, up to now we have the table, and in the table we have updated the details, and we have updated the methods, we have created the query, and then the UI. Now if you want to create a workflow, the first thing that you need to do is, one second, it's not coming, just a second, it's not finished yet. No, it's not yet done. One second, let it finish. Okay, click on the add button, new item. You can see there is something called business process and workflows. Okay, there is something called business process and workflows. So this is where we need to begin with. So in this, you can see there are a lot of things here. You can see a lot of things. Workflow approval for creating the approval. If you want to create an automated task, we will use workflow automated task. To create a category, we will use the workflow category. And similarly, if you want to create an individual task, we will use workflow task. And then to define the type, where exactly you want, we will define the workflow type here. Okay. So now what is the first step? Let me create a workflow category. I will call this as AMA workflow category. Click on the add button. Now go to the properties, and you can see here in which module you want to add this. Employee means it's a human resource module. So check whether you have it. We have the human resource module. So I'm adding it to the human resource, and I will call this as AMA employee expense. So here this workflow category is created to indicate where exactly you want to place this, in which module you want to place this. Okay, to indicate this we are going to use this one, the workflow category. Now once we are done with creating the workflow category, the next step, click on the add button, new item, and select something called workflow type. Okay, workflow type, and you can use AMA workflow type. Click on the add button, and it will open the wizard for us. So in this wizard, select the workflow category that we have just created. Select the query. We have created one query now. AMA employee expense query or something. Let's see. AMA employee expense query. Yeah, we have it. Select this query. Document menu item. We have created a menu item. Okay. Let's select that. So see here in this workflow type. Okay, we need to indicate which query it has to use to fetch the data for workflow, and in which screen you would like to bind the workflow. I would like to bind the workflow in AMA employee expense screen. Okay, once you have selected, click on the next button. Now see here, it is going to create all these items for us here. We are not going to create them. Okay, the system is going to create all these items for us in the workflow type. Okay, for the workflow type, it is going to create all these classes. So once you're done, click on the finish button. It will show you. It will create all these things for us. Just a second, it is creating. We will see that. And namely, it is going to create 3 different classes and different menu items. So what are those 3 different classes? One is called document class. Okay, one is called document class. One second, let me show you. Can you see this? Did I create all this? No. You can see here AMA workflow type, and then workflow type cancel menu item, workflow type document. This document class will be extended with a class called workflow document, and this document class has only one purpose. If you want to perform some read operation, it is going to use this query to do that read operation. Okay, it is going to use that query to do the read operation, and we need to submit. If we submit the workflow, something should happen. If we reject the workflow, something should happen. Is that right? Those are called events. Those are called events. Those events are defined in the event handler class. And along with this, there is one more class called submit manager. You have submitted the workflow. You have submitted the workflow. So once you have submitted the workflow, what should happen? Okay, what should happen? We are going to define that in the submit manager class main method. When the workflow is submitted, this is what will get called. So here we need to write the code. What should be done when the workflow is submitted? Okay, let's begin. First of all, we should have the expense. AMA employee expense, and I'm taking the employee expense table buffer. This is my table buffer. And now, which record do we need to update here? Which record we need to get? If we need to update, we need to get one record. So for that, I'm using the rec ID, and rec ID equal to, how to get this? In this main function, you have the arguments. You can pass these arguments from class to form, from form to class, from table to class. If you want to use arguments, see here. Most of the times people used to confuse when I say args. Args is the system class. That's it. Okay. It's similar to the other things. Okay. If you want to pass the class object from one method to another method, from one class method to another class method, the same way we are going to use args. Whereas coming to these args, there are few things. Okay. Let me show you. If you are writing your own class, then you need to define your own methods. Is that right? Your own methods for passing the string, passing the integer, passing the double, all that, But whereas if you go and see this args, this already has everything. Okay, this already has all the methods. You can see here. If you want to pass the object, we need to use param object. Okay. Similarly, if you want to pass the enum, use param enum. Param enum. If you want to pass the table buffer, use record. Okay. Like this, you can pass whatever you want here. So args is a system defined class. It's there in application platform, because most of the times people used to confuse this arguments class with some other classes. Other class and the arguments class both are same. There is no difference. There is no difference. The only thing that you will find is coming to the arguments, it already has some methods in it. We can use the existing methods if we want. Okay. Or if you want to create your own class and if you want to pass that class, you can do that. Okay. It's similar. Okay. And as it is a system class, whenever you see the main method, in that they are using these arguments. Okay. If you want to pass the arguments, this is how we need to do. Okay. If you want to pass the form arguments, from form you can pass the arguments. If you want to pass the arguments from class, you can do that. In runnable class, here you will simply set the arguments. See here. If you want to set the arguments, we will simply use arg dot, let's say, param means str. If you want to pass the str value from this class to another class, you can use param. If you want to pass the enum, use param enum. If you want to pass the class, use param object. List, set, map. If you want to pass those, we will use param object. Okay. Please remember. Now see here. The next thing is I need to get the rec ID. Now already I have the args. From the args we can get the rec ID here. How to do that? In args, I told you there is something called record. If someone is passing me the arguments, in that arguments I have the record. I will use this record dot. You can see the rec ID. This is how we get the rec ID. This is how we get the rec ID. Now let's say you want to use this workflow in multiple places. Okay. While runtime, at runtime you want to use this workflow, and based on this workflow you want to trigger some sub workflow. At that time we need to define something called workflow correlation ID. Workflow correlation ID. And again, don't get confused here. This is nothing but an EDT. If you want to use str workflow correlation ID, you can do that. Okay. But we will use this correlation ID if you are working with sub workflows. Otherwise, this is not needed. Okay. And then we need to use the workflow type. Okay. We need to use the workflow type. For that, we have a EDT called workflow type name. This is also a string. You can simply say workflow type name equal to, here we have workflow type str, and in the bracket provide the type name. What is the type name? The type name is AMA. AMA employee expense. No, I think I have defined something else. Workflow type. Okay, AMA workflow type. Done. So now we have defined the workflow type. Okay. If you want to write the comments, you can use str comment, or if you want to use the editing, you can use workflow comment EDT. And then you can define the comments here. Comment equal to some employee expense workflow. You can use whatever you want. Well, you can use any number of comments. You can create the comments and you can use. Okay. Now all this is fine. When we are submitting the workflow, what should happen? To define that, we have something called workflow submit dialog. Workflow submit dialog. So whenever you are working with the workflows, this is the dialog that will get open. This is the dialog that will get open. And initially, we need to construct this. How to construct? Okay, to construct this, we need to take workflow submit dialog. We have a method called construct, and in this construct, we need to pass the workflow version. From where we will get the version? We will get the version from args dot. We have something called caller dot get. Oh, actually, it's not showing in the IntelliSense, but the method name is get active workflow configuration. Okay, this is the method name. It's not showing in the IntelliSense, but it is there. Get active workflow configuration. From this, we are going to get the dialog. We are constructing the dialog using the workflow configuration. And what is the next step? When they click on this, we need to open the dialog. If you want to open the dialog, we need to run the dialog. Use the run method. Okay. This workflow submit dialog is a class, and using the class, they have constructed the screen. Okay. So when the dialog is open, there are two possibilities. Either the user can cancel, or either the user can submit. Click on OK button. If he clicks on OK button, then what should be done? What should be done? What should be done? Update the employee expense record and update the comment if you want to update, and then activate the workflow. These are the three steps that we need to do here. Okay. Now I want to get the record. Employee expense. How to get the record? Arcs dot record. Done. We will get the record here. We will get the record here. And how to get the comment? See here. If you want to use the user defined comment, you can write like this. No. Let's say the comment is, the user is adding comment on the dialog. You want to get it. Then use this comment equal to workflow submit dialog. Workflow submit dialog. Let me check. Param workflow comment. So from this, we can get the comment given by the employee. Done. Okay. The next step is activate the workflow and then do this. So as I am using the TTS begin and TTS commit, what I want to do is I want to use a transaction tracking system. Okay. TTS begin. Activate the workflow. So workflow correlation ID. Here we will use this workflow correlation ID. Okay, we will get this. And if you want to use this in the sub workflow, you can use this correlation ID. And we have a class called workflow, which is the core class. In this, we have a method called activate from workflow type. Okay, here you need to provide the workflow name, workflow type name, workflow type name, comma, what is the second parameter? Rec ID, we have it already. What is the third parameter? Workflow comment. We bought the comment from the end user. And what is the fourth parameter? Activate from yep. Yes. No S colon no. Because we are not activating this from web, we are activating this from the UI itself. Done. So once the workflow is activated, employee expense dot expense status equal to AMA expense statuses colon submit, and then employee expense dot update, and then TTS commit. Done. This is what we need to do. So here what we are doing is one thing, for sub workflow we are creating the correlation ID and we are using it. Second thing, we are setting the status to submit. Okay, and this all things will be done from the workflow perspective, because we are using the workflow submit dialog here. And then we forgot about one property. Let me open my screen. AMA employee expense, open. And in the design, if I go to properties, I have workflow type here. Now you can set AMA employee expense. Sorry, AMA workflow. Okay, it's not showing workflow type. There. Done. We are done. This is the next step. Okay, this is the next step. Now what we have done? We have created the workflow type, and then we have created workflow category. If you do these two things now, your workflow is done. Okay, but few times we will have the requirement. What would be the requirement? Approval. We need to create the task, the approval task. How to do that? Okay, before creating that, I want to go to this employee expense. Let me open this. I want to check the field groups. Okay, we have defined the overview and everything is there. Done. Now the next step is creating the approval task. How to do that? Before doing that, I want to do a rebuild. Let it sync, and then we will create an approval task. Okay. It has thrown few errors. One is this says semicolon missing. Where exactly we missed semicolon? Oh, sorry. For this is not needed. Save. And remember, whenever you are working with the workflow, there will be some small setup which I will show you within a minute in the front end. So once we are done with the technical configuration, we will need to set up the workflow batch jobs. Okay, there will be a workflow message processing, workflow due date processing, line item workflow batch jobs. Okay, so these three batch jobs should be running. Line item is not needed unless and until you want to process the workflow in a line item format. And workflow message processing and due date processing, these two batch jobs should be executing. Okay, then only whatever the workflow we have created, when you submit, it will work. Otherwise, it is not going to work. Okay, that all depends on the batch service. And what does this message processing batch job do? Coming to this message processing batch job, so what it does is, let's say you have triggered the workflow. Okay, it will take that workflow message and it will check if there is any approval. It will check whether the approval is fine or not, and it will check whether it should go to the next approval or not. So like this, it will decide. Okay, based on the conditions we have defined on the workflow, it will decide by itself, and then it will either ask you to cancel or reject, or it will throw the errors mainly. Okay. Oh, what happened? Yeah, it says extra bracket. Why? 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, there is something going wrong else. Mm, okay. It want to say something else. What does it say? Invalid token. 32. Okay, but why it is an invalid token? 1 second. There is something else. That means we might have defined some extra bracket or semicolon or somewhere it is missing. But let's see that. Oh, we wrote try. It is saying you are missing catch. Okay, done. Okay, I wrote try, but I missed catch. That's what it want to say. But instead of that, it is saying some bracket issue. Catch missing. Yep, that's right. Okay, build got completed successfully. Now the next step is right click and click on the add button, new item. And here you can see there is something called workflow approval. See here, I am creating the workflow approval. Similarly, you can create the workflow task or hierarchy or whatever you want. Okay, automated task. You can do that. Okay, everything is same. So here I will call this as AMA workflow approval and then click on the add button. Okay, it will open again a wizard for us here. It will again open one more wizard for us here. Workflow approval element wizard. Okay. So here, select the workflow document. We have selected now AMA workflow type document. Select this document preview field group. You will get it automatically from the query out of it, overview, and then document menu item. 1 second, let it load. Okay, select AMA and then you can take employee expense. AMA employee expense, and then select the next button. Here as well, it is going to create a whole lot of items for us. Approval event handler, resubmit action manager. See here, I wrote code for submit. I want you to write code for resubmit. In the resubmit, you can write your code. Okay, and now we will see what to be done in the event handler. Okay, let it create the items. Now you can see workflow approval, resubmit, action manager, resubmit event handler, resubmit action manager, view code, same main method. When it is resubmitted, what should be done? And you have seen one more checkbox called enable deny outcome. Deny means user can deny. Okay, it will simply create one more menu item for us. Okay, and the next one is workflow approval event handler. So what is this event handler? Oh, here we have a lot of things here. Workflow started, what should be done? Workflow cancelled, what should be done? All these things we need to write now. Okay, workflow started. Workflow started, what should be done? It's nothing but the submitted. Okay, workflow cancelled. Workflow cancelled means what should be done? Workflow is cancelled. You can simply say AMA employee expense colon colon. We wrote a method called update workflow. Okay, 1 second, it's loading. Come on. Okay. Oh, what is the method name? View code. Public static. Okay, I don't know why it has not given. Let me see. In the bracket, we need to get the rec ID. We have the arguments, workflow event args. You can use this and you can get the rec ID. You can take this underscore workflow event args dot param. We have the workflow context. Out of this context, we need to get the rec ID, comma. We need to update the status. AMA expense status is started means submit. Okay, let me check if throws any error. No, I don't know what is the exact reason. It is not showing the IntelliSense. Okay, cancelled. When it is cancelled, colon colon cancel. Completed means colon colon completed. Denied means colon colon reject. Actually, denied means not rejected. Okay, but let it be there. Nothing is going to happen. Change request colon colon change request. Returned colon colon reject. I will make it. Okay, done. Let me save this. Enough. Okay, like this you can set for each and everything. So this is how we have configured this. Now what is the next step? We have created the approval. This approval should be attached somewhere now. Where we need to attach this here? We need to attach this approval to workflow type. Okay, I have a workflow type here. Open this workflow type. I have a supported elements. Click on the new workflow element reference. Properties. Type should be approval. Here we need to set them. Similarly, if you create a task, set it here. You create a workflow automated task, set it here. Okay. I will call this as AMA workflow approval. And I think this is the name of my workflow approval. If you don't set the approval here, you will not get this approval on the front end. So we need to set this approval. Okay. The name is AMA workflow approval. So that is cut. Done. Done. Okay. We have set up the approval element so that we will get it. Now we are done. Okay. Now let me remove sync. Go to properties. Let me set sync to false. Apply. Okay. Do a rebuild. So once it is built, we will see on the front end. Working with workflows is very simple. Okay. And now, if you need to customize the workflow, you need to create an extension, customize whatever you want. Okay. This is how we create. Create an extension, customize. That's it. Check something in the standard. Right click, personalize, and check whatever you want.
Hi Kumar,
Yeah, go ahead.
can you please show us some workflow to customize?
Some workflow to customize. Okay.
Yes, customize.
Yep.
One is a small example.
I will show you. Because you will have a lot of standard workflows. We can take any one of the standard and I will show you. You can see here, for example, this is the purge workflow approval. Okay. If I view the code of it, public void check. In this check, what he is doing, he is loading the purge line and then table name of purge line is ledger budget control enabled. Okay. So we will see that that's not a big deal. Okay. Now see here, the build is finished. Let me go on to the front end. Let me open the front end screen. For this, there will be no extensions. Okay. Approvals, you can create the extensions. Whereas for category and types we have it. Okay. Whereas for categories, we don't have the extensions. Automated tasks, we don't have. Providers, we don't have the extensions. For types, for approvals, we have them. Okay. Because these are the classes. So you can create an extension, any one of them. You can use it. Okay. And here as well, there will be allow very limited changes. Where did it go? This one. Even in the changes as well, if you see, they will allow very less number of changes. They allow you to change the menu item. There is no menu item for deny. If you want to add, you can add it. Reject. Okay. They will allow very less number of changes. Yeah. Whereas if you come to this one, our workflow, you can see the outcomes. We can edit each and every properties. Okay. And one more thing, we have discussed about the state machine. Okay, because actually I want to show you both the methods, so which is why I took this method. But if you want to work with the state machine, actually there is no need of creating a class there. There is no need of updating the code. Instead of that, you can select the state machine name. if you have it, and then you can set the state machine target state. Then once you approve it, automatically the state will get changed. Automatically the state will get changed. Okay, please remember this. If you have the state machine, if you have created the state machine, using the state machine, you can update it. As these are the only two properties, I have not showed this along with the state machine. Just you need to set these properties, the target state will get switched automatically. And if you have the state machine only, you can do that. Okay. Now the next step is, let me go to first of all system administration, and then you can see workflow infrastructure configuration. Okay, workflow infrastructure configuration. Select workflow infrastructure configuration, and here you need to set up the workflow messaging batch job, due date processing job, line item workflow notification job. Okay, before setting this up, please go and check in the batch jobs if it is available or not. Okay, we will see in the batch jobs. First of all, the next thing is about the workflow parameters. We need to set up the workflow parameters. Workflow infrastructure configuration is used for setting up the batch jobs. Workflow parameters is used for setting up the email alerts. Okay, currently these email alerts, even if I said they are not going to work because we need the SMTP for that. If you want to set up the email alerts, you can set up the email alerts for your workflow by using the workflow parameters. Next, let me go to the batch jobs. Let's see whether workflow is there or not. I want to see two things. One is whether it is there or not, and the next one is last run. Okay, last run is there. Okay, it's executing, it seems to be. 9/7/22 message processing 8/28/22. Okay, it's every minute. Good. Okay, let me close this. Now, where do we create our workflow category here? It's in the human resource now. Now let me go and check in the human resource module whether it's available or not. Human resources, and I have human resource workflows. Okay, in this human resource workflows, we need to create the new one. Now please remember, whatever the step now we are performing, that will work only in Internet Explorer. Okay, click on the new button. If you have the template, you can import AMA workflow type. This is the one we have created. Okay, now select this. This step is going to work only with Internet Explorer. Please remember, Google Chrome, it is not going to work because it will download an application for us and it will run this application. We call that application as workflow editor. Okay, and let me give the credentials. Click on the next button. Five 46274. Verify. Okay. Now it will open the editor for us. Just let's wait for a second. Come on. Oh, got it. I'm thinking what happened in this version. Okay. Now you can see AMA workflow approval. You will get this approval only when you added supported elements to the workflow type. Please remember that. Otherwise, you will not get this approval. Like this, if you create a task, you will get the task as well. Okay. You can do whatever you want here with the workflows. This is just a sample. Now here, I am saying it should pass to the approval element. Okay. And at the end, you will have the end element. Okay, each and every workflow you can start and end directly if there is nothing, or if you want to set up the approvals, you can set up the approvals. Done. Okay, and there will be few things. Assignment type. See here, to whom you want to assign. I'm using the user. To which user you want to assign? I will select the admin and I will set. Okay, and you must set the message in the basic settings. I will simply say submitted. Okay, you can add whatever you want. I will simply say submitted. You can also take the translation, but I'm just adding the message. Okay, I want you to try all the options on the screen. If you want to have the due date processing, you can set the time limit. Okay, and what is the completion policy? Single approver, majority of approvers, all approvers. Okay, even single approver is okay. You can set up the single approver. And if you want to approve this conditionally, you can run the step conditional and then you can add it. If you click on the add button, you will have the condition and or and either. Okay, you will get the employee expense amount, and using this or whatever the field you want, you can select that field. And then you can write the condition. Okay, you can create the conditions as well for workflows. And for the next level escalation, you can do that. But there is no need of defining this escalation path. It will be defined in the rare case. Okay, so once you're done with setting up, click on close. Now this is our workflow. So once you're done, click on save and close. Version notes, past version. Okay, activate this new version. Okay, done. Now the screen will get closed automatically, and then it will take us back to the workflow, human resources workflow screen. Let it take us. Okay, it's taking a minute. Let's wait for a minute here. It's still loading. And you can see in the flow control sub workflow, na? If you want to use that sub workflow, then we will use that correlation ID. And then we can pass that correlation ID to the sub workflow. Just to indicate that it is coming from this particular workflow. This is how it will come back. So once done, click on the close button. And then refresh to check whether our workflow is activated or not. Now you can see this is activated. Done. Now let me go to the shopping management module, and we have created a screen in common. Okay, where is that screen? Common, employee expense. Done. Okay, let's create one employee expense. Okay, so here there is none by default. Let me select some worker here. Edit. Let me select someone here. Okay. Let me set some 15,000, 100,000 expense type. Fit. Not submit. Save. Please wait. We are processing your request. How much time will you process? Okay. Now you can see. You have the workflow option here. Click on the workflow. I have not changed the label, so it will say submit menu item. Click on the submit. Now it will show us the submit dialog. So whatever the comment you add here, it will go to the submit. Okay. Now I will say, please approve. And then you can use the submit menu item. Done. Now let me refresh. Let me select this. The expense status is changed to submit. In the workflow, I have the cancel now. Okay. If you want to view the history, you can click on view history. So in this history, it is going to show all the details of this workflow. After submitting, what happened, what are the steps that took, all those things it will show here. Okay. And actually, this is the admin user, so you'd be able to see everything. Whereas for users, they would not be able to see few things. Okay, few properties. Now this is submitted, and with the comment, please approve. Created date time is 4th August 2020, 8:38 p.m. Okay. So it will show you the tracking details here. It will show you the tracking details here. Okay. Now the next step is, so once the workflow is done, okay, if the admin want to recall, he can recall, or if you allow user to recall, the user can also recall. Okay. Because if there are any changes, then they are going to recall this. 1 second, let it load. Just a second. Oh, already we are out of time here. Sorry. Let's wait for a few more minutes. Huh? There are only very few things that I need to explain. I will explain you and then I will close it.
Kumar, do we have user level control on the menu items or forms? Means if you want to show some menu or form to some user and hide from some user.
That is what is role-based security. Unity is role-based security.
Role-based security. Did he cover it?
Already I showed it, how to work with role-based security.
Okay. And about this workflow, how we have to decide that to whom we need to assign it. Means if employee submit
See
something
here,
like
yeah, that's what. That will be based on the requirement. Okay, you will have the customer requirement. Let's say you have the workflow. He will say the workflow should automatically submit it to the next level. Then you will assign it to the next level. If they say it should go to the skip level, you should assign it to the skip level. It is on based on the requirement. Okay, it's not defined in an ERP. Based on the customer requirement, we will decide that who is the approver. Okay,
the user we can select.
yeah, you can assign it to any user. I showed na. I have selected the user. There I have selected admin. There, if you want to select any other user instead of using the hierarchy, you can do that. If you want to set the hierarchy, you can set the hierarchy. That's up to you. You can set the hierarchy, you can select the user, whatever you want, you can do over there on the workflow screen.
Okay.
Okay.
Kumar, that should be, if it is user based, if user leaves the company,
Hmm.
then it's
You need to
problematic
reassign.
situation.
No, you need to reassign it to someone else. That's what. See here, whenever you are working with the workflow, whatever you need to do is, you need to check the requirement. They will let you know. If they are okay with the hierarchy, you need to set up the hierarchy. If they are not okay with the hierarchy, then it should go to the next step.
So
You need to assign it to the user.
when it comes to the hierarchy, if we change project manager name, it will automatically starting signing to another next person.
Exactly. If you use hierarchy, it will automatically assign. If you are using the username, it will not assign, because if that user is gone, you need to reassign. You need to change the username or you need to reassign. Okay. Now see here, I got the workflow stopped error. Let me see what is this error. Exception, failure to find expression record. Oh, this is the issue from the standard again. It is asking me to resume here. Okay, because this exception is not from mine. Let me check where does it come. Okay, let me resume and try once. Okay, so when the workflow batch job is run, it will pick this, and from the event handler, it will directly submit it. Okay, but unfortunately, from the standard itself, it is throwing some exception. Okay, because what I want to show you is, whenever the workflow is submitted, you will get that here. The work items assigned to me, because I am the admin. So here I will get one more work item saying that this is waiting. And what we used to do is, you can select that item and you can either approve, reject, cancel, whatever you want, you can do that. That is how the workflow works. But I have resumed it, but let's see whether it works or not. Seems like some issue with the standard stuff here. Because this issue is not first time for me. The same issue I got in the previous batch as well. Mostly, I can say more than 90%, you should get this issue. Okay, unless and until there is some, because I have not done the full build of all the models. So if you are also working in the similar fashion, you should also get that issue. But I tried to resume it because it said try to resume, so I resumed it. Let's see if it works. It is fine. Only one step, the last step is left here. It went into the approval. In the creation, it will go to the event handler, and then it will submit the workflow, and that submitted workflow we will get on the home screen. Okay, and if you open that now, here you can see we got these pieces now. Along with this, we will get our ones as well. Whatever the Amazon one we have created, we will get that as well, and we will select that. And after selecting that, we will have the options: approve, cancel, resubmit, reject, recall. We have the options. Let me show you. Only I want to show you that few options, but let me check. If it resumes and if it works fine, then it is okay. Otherwise, so only this is the step that you need to remember. Okay, let's do one thing. Anyways, it is taking some time. So I will resume this and I will see if I get the same error. I will show you the same thing tomorrow. Or if it is successful, I will show you after successful what will happen. Okay. Only one thing here. After it is successful, we will get that here. Workflow items assigned to me. Whoever the user the workflow is assigned, they will get the item in their home screen. We need to select that item and then we will have the options: approve or change, raise a change request or cancel. We will have the items. So that's what I want to show. Okay, let's do one thing. Let's see that stuff tomorrow because it's taking a lot of time to load because I think it is resuming. Let's see. Okay, yeah, any questions?
Kumar, one doubt here.
Yep.
You have done some like setups, right, to work towards the workflow. So, say for example, I would like to move these all the setups, like whatever the stuff you have done for the setups. So, how can we move to higher environments? Like in a higher environment, also we need to manually do
No, no.
the setup.
You
We
can
can
use
move
data
to the
entities.
column.
You can use data entities. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. This is how it shows. Record return. If you select the workflow now, we will have the options: resubmit, record, view history. And let's say if it is for approval, then you will see few more options. Let me check. So these are the two things that I want to show with our own workflow, but unfortunately the standard is not allowing me. Okay, let's see. Any other queries? The same thing I want you to try in Azure environment if possible, because on Azure environment, you should not face this issue. Okay, approve, reject, delegate, cancel. So these are the options that we will get. The end user is going to get. He can select any one of the option based on the approval process. Okay, so these are the two things that I want to show with this one. Okay, it has resumed. Let's see. Just let's wait for a minute. I want to just check whether it will fail again or whether it will be successful. Might be in the latest version that they released, na? Same exception here. Okay, and let me copy this exception. They might resolve this in the next version. It says this workflow evaluation provider evaluation condition. We did not add any condition itself. It is failing at evaluating that condition. Okay, but we did not write any condition. Okay, so this is about the workflows. Okay, I think this exception you need to get. Please try. Okay, and I will also try doing a full build, but let's see. Okay, now whereas the next step is on the home screen, it is going to show that workflow, and we are going to select that, and it will show us the options for the end user. And he's going to, this is the functional thing. Again, he is going to either approve or reject or delegate or cancel based on the approval process. Okay, so this is about workflow. Please let me know if you have any queries. If there are no queries, I will end session for everyone. And please try this workflow in Azure environment if you have the one, okay? Because in Azure environment, you should not face this error and that should be successful, okay? Because this workflow is fully tested, which is why I'm saying. Only in previous batch and this batch, I'm getting this error. And previous batch, I tried to do a full build and all that, but it did not work. But I will try to do the same thing. Let's see, okay? Thanks all for the session. Let's meet again tomorrow, same time. Thank you all. Bye.